So the overview is I'll do just a quick reiteration of us, and then just talk about promoting a CSA program at a university setting, pitching the program, getting leadership buy-in, and then supporting the program, like what tools we use to help support it, and then just best practices kind of succeeding with the CSA program. Just super quickly, because it's always nice to know people's background. You know that I work for Oak, you know that I'm the CSA program coordinator. I'm also in this picture. So my background is I went to UK, I was a natural resource major, and then I was a sustainable ag minor, and I got into farming in college. I was from Louisville, I was an urban background, I was not interested. I just didn't know about farming, and then I got into farming in college, and then I started working on vegetable farms. I started doing farmer education, more like children, like kind of come to the farm, do field trips, kind of engagement, and then started working for Oak. So really excited to work on this program. I get really pumped up to like increase fresh food access in Kentucky. It's like just the same as West, it's like such a big need for everyone. So that's what I feel like, that CSA avenue. I mentioned this earlier, but just for the sake of it, Organic Association Kentucky, statewide nonprofit, whole focus is to promote organic regenerative practices. And so we have all that farmer programming, and then we really try to connect more eaters in Kentucky with local organic farms through like our farm directory, through this workplace CSA program, and through community events and like cooking classes and things. Kentucky Farmers Coalition, love to give Jairus a little shout out in this photo when we came to the CSA pickup last year. So Coalition, we focus on weekly organic produce shares, promoting those to workplaces, but we also try to set up some community pickups in like kind of key areas. So in Northern Kentucky, there wasn't a lot of community pickups with our partner farms that we work with. And so I had a contact at NKU. She was like, oh, I think we could set one up at this brewery. And so we set one up at Wooden Cask in Newport, Kentucky. And that was really awesome. So we work with communities as well to kind of establish pickups. The main focus being that fresh food access, and then just creating additional markets for small to medium family farms. And then in 2023, we worked with our 8 organic farms in our coalition. We have 13 employer partners right now. Some employers are just moving a smaller amount of shares. Farm Gate Impact, we generated over $576,000 in Farm Gate Impact with the program. And this is just the shares that are moving with the Kentucky Farm Share Coalition farms. So really exciting stuff. I feel like we would love to grow the number of farms we serve to kind of impact more farms, but that Farm Gate Impact number is still really high, which is great. So just a little overview, background of us. That was our intro. And then just kind of promoting the program. So making connections. I just wanted to this is a little bit more general than you guys need, but in the broader landscape of promoting CSA, what we found success with is finding those employers that really have a big, strong mission for supporting the local food system. It's like written in, right? Like in UK, they already had that investment at the university level because of their contracting with Aramark that said, you have to buy this much of local food, right? So with other employers, corporate social responsibility, we try to look at those statements, see if it aligns with anything. We also try to really look at employers that are being innovative, that want to offer an innovative benefit. So they're eager to impact employee health through diet, right? Because there's not a lot of other like wellness benefits out there that are going to impact diet. There's obviously like diabetes support groups, like things like that focus on healthy eating, but just an actual vehicle to get there and a tool to get there, like a CSA share. And we try to, engage with employers that are passionate about that food as medicine concept, right? There's like so much buzz around that. I feel like I might have to find a different phrase because it's like a little bit, that are really passionate, they're excited. Those are employers that we want to work with. And then just the timeline and flexibility when you're thinking about advocating for this at like your university. These conversations can take some time. They take a lot of time, not in the university setting, because you're catching people. The on-ramp can be longer if they're not familiar with what, the CSA program already. So just kind of giving yourself some, it's hard to kind of turn the gas up right away, and just giving yourself some time. And then when you're promoting the CSA vouchers, just find out like when that budget cycle is, which I know those are just some basic stuff. You guys already know about that, but just when we have a new prospective employer, we'll have that initial conversation, ask them about their budget, ask them when they're going to be finalizing it, and try to like follow up with them ahead of that if we miss the window. And then this is kind of a nuanced thing, but it's important to offer as much of like plug and play, like give them as much of it as you can. So like when you're coming to advocate for a university program, having some of those pieces really mapped out so they have something they can say yes to, but also making sure it's really adaptable. We've tried so hard to make every program the same, and every employer is different, and every program looks slightly different. So I'm assuming it'll look really, different at your university with kind of what you're working with. And we work a lot in like CSA marketing. So outside of workplace CSA, I do community events and promotion just about CSA in general. Some like interesting fun facts for Kentucky is like, and this is a survey by Kentucky Proud, they surveyed like 1,000 shoppers in Kentucky, and like maybe 90% were not familiar with CSA, and so there's just such a big gap in Kentucky with just getting people familiar with the concept, what it is. It's an acronym. The acronym doesn't really fully tell you what it means. And so it's like an uphill battle there. And so we worked, and Brett, thanks for mentioning, it was like a little plug with doing like online virtual promotion in the spring and collaborating with like Kentucky Proud, which is our Kentucky Department of Agriculture like marketing program, and then collaborating with Kentucky Horticulture Council and with, we've worked with Edible Magazine in the past, and then we've also worked with Ashton and the Food Connection to kind of just promote a really wide variety of CSA farms and their opportunities. And we put together a partner farm guide. We kind of blast that out. We got over 1,000 clicks on that, which was great, to kind of just share some tools and ways to find CSA. And now we've kind of started a fall CSA. So we'll be promoting with the same group of community partners a fall CSA program as well. And kind of this relates, just the more CSA promotion happening in your area, it's just going to build that like market for a university program, and more people will be familiar with it when you're going to like start it and sign up for it. And then just some other things to consider, like hosting a CSA 101 talk. I mentioned sustainable eating because that's what we were offering a cooking demo related. So if you're already offering like wellness events, you could kind of easily like start, just kind of incorporate some CSA stuff in there if you wanted to, just to kind of build the buzz, get that buzz going. And then so I have some slides. This next section is like slides I just took from my PowerPoint when I pitched to employers. And so I'm gonna just try to like cruise through them and stop on the ones that feel like, I already took out a few, but I feel like some of this might be repetitive from yesterday. So Tim, will you help me with that if it's something you guys talked about? So the first concept, we just try to explain what we're doing with the program. When I'm pitching to an employer, I'm going to kind of just make this concept of, that healthier food, healthier employees. I often start with just the fact that like less than 6% of Kentuckians eat the recommended 2 to 3 servings of vegetables. That's a great stat. You can look that up for your state. It really helps paint the concept of this benefit could be applicable to almost anyone, because almost everyone has an opportunity to eat more vegetables. And just connecting the team. So the goal of this program is to connect more people with that weekly produce. And we always like to say with an eye towards decreasing diet-related medical claims in the future. That's a long game goal. But it definitely, if your university is self-insured, could make a difference when talking about it. And then this is the slide that I start with just because I'm going to gauge like how familiar an employer is with CSA. So if you're in talks with leadership, like, okay, like just kind of go over what CSA means, what it stands for, and then framing out based on what farms you want to work with, like what it means. Is it a biweekly share or is it a weekly share? Ours is for certified organic vegetables. If we're promoting it, the Kentucky Farm Share Coalition Farms, we kind of share that it's for 20 weeks. We tell them when it's happening, because sometimes when we're talking about this program, it's so amorphous. They're like, I don't even know when it's happening. So the CSA season's traditional main season is May through October. And then we really try to be like, to communicate why it's different than another food box program, right? Because why should I try to advocate for this versus something else? And really kind of emphasize the relationship that member gets to have with the farm, and that connection and that community aspect of the program kind of sets it apart from getting like a HelloFresh box. So that's what we kind of start with. And then this is another just CSA education piece of just like, it's seasonal. So, because they're going to be fielding a lot of questions. So that coordinator needs to know what to expect. And so we will always share like a what's in season, but we'll also just kind of explain when you sign up for a CSA, you're always going to get different vegetables based on the season. we'll give them a range of how many crops our partner farms grow. And so the range is anywhere from like 30 crops to like 75, 80 crops. And so there's lots of variety. It just depends on the season, depends on the farm, but give them an idea of like what to expect. And then this is something that we talked about, just like all of our farms, or most farms, South Farm offers just the one size share, but a lot of farms we work with offer multiple shares. I've standardized the naming because this is the most like common name, but small could be mini share, regular could be the full share. It's kind of the standard share size is that regular, and then extra large share is something that's kind of a lot of our farms have added on in the last couple years. It can be robust, it can be abundant, it can be extra large, all of those words, jumbo, you know. But these are kind of the three most common sizes. And it's really nice. I think what the trends in CSA are definitely making it more flexible, adding more people to be able to plug in. And so really trying to match this up with different household sizes. And so that small share usually works for 1 to 2 person household. A regular share works for a medium-sized household. This all varies. If somebody's plant-based and like just crushing out vegetables, they might want a regular extra large share. But that, like when I'm doing a presentation for folks, that's typically what I talk about. And so when you're presenting to leadership, like let them know, like we're working with farms that offer multiple sizes, and that could really help allow, because this benefit's going to be more applicable to multiple people. And so then we just started to recap, like what does Kentucky Farm Show Coalition offer if you work with us and we do a workplace program? Well, we have 100% grown on farm shares. Our produce is certified organic. A lot of our farms offer customization, not all the farms, but that's when we're outside of the university setting, that's usually what we're advocating for. And then folks can add on. They can pause their share. I think that's a really big thing, right? With the trends right now, like who's not traveling right now? You know, everyone's traveling. So the ability to pause your share is really nice. So almost every farm we work with has like CSA software. That's how they take the discount code most of the time. And so in that CSA software, a lot of them have pausing options. So you can just pause. The other nice thing, which you guys might be doing, is like you can just have someone else pick up your box. They can give it a try, which is awesome, you know, and it's something that's really cool too. So just benefits of CSA, I always like to recap this and talk about access, convenience, just because you don't have to think about it, right? It's local food on an automatic like timeline. It's just going to happen. It's going to come to you. You don't have to actively like think about going to the farmer's market. You know you're going to pick up your box a certain day of the week. And then just sustainability with more folks. The number one reason a lot of our members say, like when our end of season survey, that they want to do CSA, that they did CSA, is because they want to support a Kentucky farm above health, you know, just like wanting to give back, having that value. And then this is our little graphic. So I mentioned that less than 6% of Kentuckians eat the recommended amount of vegetables. We survey anyone that gets a voucher share. They take an end of season survey. And about 84% of those folks say that they eat the 2 to 3 servings of vegetables. So it's a much higher number. So we really try to advocate for why this program makes a difference, because so many folks are eating more vegetables. And hopefully, this is where I'm going to skip, because I feel like Don and Martha hit on all of these diet-related stats in Kentucky. It's not as relevant if you're not in Kentucky, but we are battling a lot of pretty high, diabetes, hypertension, obesity. And so we really try to advocate for why this program matters in Kentucky because of those reasons. Got this great photo, Tim and Juris there. We got Vanessa. This just talks about the pilot, which you guys have heard about. And then we just kind of try to share these numbers, the medical claims data. And so we kind of talk about it, Tim, this could be a great recap that and I can go back to it, 1,000 to, and you all saw a savings anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500, of those folks that were in that poor place of health. So big savings really, and just kind of how we reach those people is kind of the end goal. We really have to make a strong case for the voucher. I would say just stick to you have to be a really strong advocate. I think a lot of times employers, universities might just want to do the program without the voucher, which is awesome, but it's really hard to get as much buy-in. So building it, because it just it's going to be the equity piece that you need to like reach everybody on like a really different salary scale. So you could even try to advocate for a salary-based voucher. I don't know, but I'm just saying that it makes a difference. It gives people a nudge. You're going to reach people that are outside of the core CSA folks, and just reduce the financial cost, increase retention, and then just be able to offer a nutrition-focused benefit. A lot of times there's nothing else quite like getting a discount on CSA. We try to give them a sense of the program costs. So I only included this because I just wanted to remind folks that like Farm Share Coalition has a program fee. And so just like it's a way we have revenue for the program. And so when we administer it, there's a $20 program fee for every voucher share. And then we give them a sense of the cost. This isn't really relevant, right? Depends on your market. This is for organic CSA shares in the coalition. So the price has definitely increased over time. And so the reason I put the prices up there is because I try to advocate for a voucher that covers 25% of the cost of the share, at least, if not more. And because it needs to be a significant amount. And so I try to say, like, I'm asking you for a $200 voucher or a $100 voucher because this share costs $500. And so it really needs to be a significant amount to give folks the financial assistance they might need. And I just try to talk about the timeline of the program, so to kind of orient when I might follow up with them. And so this is our traditional timeline to kind of move an employer from a prospective employer to like an active voucher program. And so we might talk with them in the fall, usually in the summer, and then launch signups. Vanessa mentioned signups start in January at UK. A lot of our voucher program signups launch in January and February, and we do that because the farms have not sold out and they have like lots of access to voucher share. You know, the employees get first access to signups, so then we can on-ramp as many voucher signups as we want. And they're not at capacity, they're not close to selling out. And then the CSA will start in May or June. We'll share a lot of resources during the CSA season, and then we'll always do a lot of program evaluation in September, October. So we'll do an end of season survey for members, we'll do an end of season survey for employers, and we'll do an end of season survey for the farmers. Everyone gets a survey. Yeah, I think this is the, oh no, let's see. Okay, that's that section, but does you guys have any questions? Did anything like trickle out for the pitching part? Yeah.
I have a question about like the insurance companies. Have you found like certain insurance companies are more open to this, or does it really depend on the employer versus the insurance company?
We've had like, so it has been really tough to like, cause that's where Fair Share, right? Like Fair Share is in Madison, Wisconsin, another CSA coalition had the insurance rebate, right? Where like, so cool. I feel like we've tried so many angles for the insurance companies here and not had any success, which is frustrating. Humana, which is like a big insurer in Louisville headquartered, we've had conversations with, but they're actually just getting out of the employee insurance game altogether and just doing Medicare and Medicaid Advantage, like Medicare Advantage and Medicaid. So it's been tricky. So that's a great question in the sense of we've had no luck with insurance companies. I don't know, Tim can maybe speak to that. But we are, so the other avenues, which I'm glad you brought it up, are hospitals and like trying to get into like community health needs assessments and working with hospitals that have that in their charge to kind of see how CSA can be a tool for them to incorporate that in the community health needs assessment. So that's one avenue. And then we're really trying to go in this avenue of produce prescriptions, medically tailored boxes, and how there's synergy with that, to kind of just kind of work around, find some alternative ways where it seems like could be so much synergy to find some other ways to like see where we can go. I don't know.
Yeah, I just we have talked like with Ashton and the city LCG,
Yeah.
and Jairus and I sat down with is it Anthem? That was the insurance company.
Yeah.
Love the idea. This is great. We've got data. We'll put you in touch with our secret people that mess with all this stuff. But it's just like,
I don't know. I just think
gas, and it's just
yeah.
It's like this is too. I think they still feel like it's too small potatoes a deal.
Yeah.
For them to, and so consequently, it's been much more. I'm sure you would concur that much more open-mindedness with the actual employer HR department, benefits,
Yeah.
people that are working directly with the employees and see how it can complement the portfolio of other benefits and wellness programs that they have already.
Yeah. No, I think that's, yeah, we've had a,
Folks are just strictly actuarial.
I don't know. And I think that just, it's so situational. I would absolutely, they're a natural partner. I would like, like see what, and then so the other synergies at a university, and I'm so glad, and you've hit on this a lot, but it's worth saying again, if the HR department is maybe not as interested going to the College of Medicine, going to the College of Nursing, going to the other colleges that have this like health focus could be like some good synergy, and Vandy being the best example of that. If you look up their program, they've worked with the College of Medicine on a program outside of HR, which is really another avenue. I just have a couple more slides so we can have time for questions before 3. So just a couple minutes. This is just like 3 slides, and then I have one other slide. And then just using an example of hospitals, just so you guys have some context, is we worked with St. Elizabeth in Northern Kentucky and did a 50-person pilot, and they offered fully subsidized shares, and they identified like folks that met certain biometrics of like maybe high BMI, maybe high A1C. So they set their own criteria for identify who would most benefit, and they offered free CSA shares. And that was like a really successful like one-off program, just like didn't like, and they wanted to do some research with it. So Vanessa mentioned that it was hard for UK to identify like this like health population that was interested in CSA, but that's not the case for everybody. So it's definitely worth exploring, just depends. So program support, I just wanted to share some ways that we support voucher programs and some things to think about to like have a successful university programs. We provide a ton of template communication, and I'll make sure to like kind of share some of that with Sarah so you guys can see what we send. A lot of promotional graphics just to kind of share, raise awareness for the program. This is Christy. If you're like wondering what that photo is, she did a Cook with a Farmer class with us. And then we always do the kickoff event. I feel like that event's really important in any shape or form, in person, virtual, just a way to kind of share the content about how to like what to expect in a CSA. We do all the voucher sign up reporting. That's a big lift. So it's a big benefit that we do it. But just finding a way that's easy and seamless to do is important. And offering some resources. We offer chef demos, cooking classes, just blog, some other resources for folks is really helpful. And then just collecting feedback. That end of season survey is another thing that we do. So these are all things we do for all of our employers that kind of help make that program more successful. And then just some things to think about when you're organizing a coalition of farms, you're organizing different interests, like just checking in often. We have a lot of check-ins with the farms because we have the quarterly meetings, and then we have the end of season meeting. We check in with our employers pre-season, mid-season, and end of season. The pre-season is usually not a face-to-face, but the mid-season and end of season can be if you feel like you haven't heard much about the program. And then let's see, yeah, I'm just offering different events to kind of promote, raise awareness. Just a couple pictures of some of the resources we offer. We have recipe cards. We have like some digital vegetable guide, eating with the seasons postcard. And then this is the final slide. So just kind of wanted to share some best practices for CSA programs. I think I mentioned all this, which is great. I think it's just, so I'll let you read some of these. I won't list them off, but I just can't say enough about how much like that CSA champion can help you take that program to like that next level. And if there's anyone in leadership, anyone in HR that's familiar with CSA, that's really excited about it, that goes so far. And we always just try to find try to find a contact that can connect us to that kind of group of people, and getting buy-in from them, or finding some other ways to make it work. So we've got 3 minutes. I'm just gonna cut the slides and just see if you guys have any questions. Just take this off. Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
If you had to like start a voucher program from scratch, what are things that you would have done differently, or like things that might make it simpler for you administratively in the future? You mentioned before,
Yeah.
maybe having one voucher instead of
Oh, I like that you asked me that. Yeah. I wouldn't do 2 vouchers. I think they did that because they were splitting a budget and they were just trying to make it go a little farther, I think. And they said that, right? That's not like, I mean, they were just like, right, they started with a $200 voucher and then divided it between 100 and 200 because they wanted to impact more people. So I think logistically, if you could offer one voucher value, it'd be better. We have to spend a lot of time and follow up because people put the wrong code in for the wrong share. And then I have to email them and say, hey, you used the small coupon code, or like, it's more often they use the big coupon code on the small share. And then we have to like see what they want. And I think it would streamline it if, it's not a ton, but it's enough to like just kind of decrease the admin for you guys for sure. And you saw on Vanessa's bar chart that $200 voucher is is really popular. And I would justify that it still would be good on the mini share. That's still like, the mini share, it's like, just use it for whatever share you want. But having that one size could be really helpful. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm just blinking because I feel like, but yeah.
Do most of the farms, this is kind of about the payroll reduction thing.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the farms offer like you can pay half or pay a quarter.
I'm so glad you asked me that. So it's another CSA trend. So the CSA trend, Elmwood, you guys are both in like the two farms that pay before the season, which is great. That's the traditional way. Almost every farm is switching to like flexible payment plans. And so that's where the payroll deduction piece loses its relevance when the farms allow you to pay. So bar farms, as an example, you pay 25% at sign up, 25% the first delivery, and then you pay the remaining 50% balance weekly, and it just gets auto deducted on your card. So there's such a larger amount of flexibility from like when I started working with this program and now, that the payroll deduction piece is losing its relevancy for our farms, but if it's a specific farm, it really does help, So we actually, with our Elmwood specific partners, more often than not, they offer payroll deduction because the farm asks, and that really helps the farm. So yeah, if your farms, I wouldn't advocate for them to make it less flexible because it's better for them, but customer-wise, people really like flexible payment plans, and it can be a barrier. So just trying to figure out, does that farm you want to work with offer it? Do I need, that's a great, So CSA trend-wise, that's a big one.
It just makes me think of like there's some elements that can be the coalitions to solve, and there are some that can be more elegantly solved at the farm level, and that kind of, that's really, it's cool that it's kind of small and flexible enough that you're able to do that. It's part of the beauty of the program. So I was just thinking about that earlier.
Yeah, no, it's a great example. And I think it's hard for us to keep up. So another example with that is like Rootbound is being very innovative and doing kind of like this drop in, drop out model where you can sign up for 4 weeks and then you can cancel like a Netflix subscription, or you can continue, you can sign up for 8 weeks and then it will like, so it's like 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 16 weeks. So we like basically have to like put this little disclaimer. If you got a voucher, you have to participate for 20 weeks, and it's like harder, right? Because it's harder to put guardrails around it if the program is super flexible. And so it's awesome. It's great for their business. And so I think if you're trying to organize a coalition of farms, you do want to keep in mind to not overreach too far, and like what works well for the voucher might not work well for their farm business. So you have to find that like happy medium. And some workarounds so they can still do what they want to do and market they want to market, but like get it to work if you're trying to get people to eat a certain number of weeks, because I think the trend is to be as flexible as possible, and just because that commitment can be hard. So yeah, and I forgot to mention this, but in the morning portion, just like all of the coalition farms, they pay like that farm marketing fee for the shares, but they also pay a coalition fee when they first start. It's like an application fee almost, or like, like a join fee. And it's a sliding scale fee for us. We changed that to be sliding scale to be like equitable. If you're trying to bring on more diverse farms, you want to offer, a range, but it's $0 to $500, so if we ask them to self-identify what they want to pay based on how established they are. But just wanted to mention there was one other fee in there for farms. Yeah, awesome. 2:02, guys, you take it away. Do the closing or?
Well, so I mean, there are more questions.
Oh,
So I think one of we kind of hinted at it all along, but I think these guys will be interested in this too.
Yeah.
One of the really valuable things about having a coalition that can be this intermediary coalition of the farms, advocating for these employers, is, and also operating under the umbrella of Oak, is that you're able to, and you've been successful pursuing grant funding to do innovative things with the program. That, you know, it's not necessarily just incumbent on the university to have to go and run all that stuff together. And, you know, it's always, I've always felt like it's been an important part of the vision to have an independent entity sort of take the ball and run with it, take some ownership, and to create a program that is generating resources internally to pay for at least part of, because it takes resources, it takes people power. You know, you were asking Vanessa how much, or you were asking.
Oh yeah, and I was about to answer that. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that question coming.
So what about for?
For Oak and Farm Share Coalition. So I spend 90% of my time on the program, and then we have our assistant director spends 50% of her time, and Brooke, I think, is slated for 30% of her time, and that's changing. I would say 2 full-time people is probably the equivalent of what we have, and then and it's kind of stay that way. Just you guys know this, but we're hiring one more person to work 80% of their time on the program, but I think Natalie and Brooke will rotate and do some other stuff. So 2 full-time people for Oak, right? And she mentioned, so it's it's great to have that if you can work with other CSA coalitions or something like that.